Wade, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Hey, how's things up in the beautiful Pacific Northwest?
It's been really good. A little cold today. We were smoked in for a couple of days, but things are going really good right now. Where are you at right now?
I'm back down in Venice Beach, California, here in my office, and it's great to connect.
Oh, fantastic! That's my old stomping ground, Venice Beach.
It is.
That's where we first met.
Just a short distance from here years ago, so it's really cool.
So Wade, tell everybody everybody got to come on. We know your name, Wade Lightheart, but when's your birthday, Wade?
May 16th, 1972.
Yeah, that's Lisa's birthday too.
Yeah, that was so interesting when we met. We were literally born almost at the exact same time.
Our charts are exactly the same except for two places.
Yeah, exactly the same except for two. So technically you're astrological twins. So when the energy comes today, like she was up at like 3 or 4 in the morning doing shit. So were you up at 3 and 4 in the morning doing shit by any chance?
If I was, I won't discuss it.
It's our little secret.
So Wade, you're 50 now, right?
Yeah, just turned 51.
51, and you have a long history of a bodybuilding as a plant-based bodybuilder.
Yeah.
What was your first contest that you won?
First contest I won was in 1997. Was the Mr. New Brunswick contest, which was like a big deal on the East Coast. And that was, I had lost, keep in mind, I had not won a contest in 10 years of training. So I had terrible genetics, but I was too stupid and too stubborn to quit. And eventually I won. And then the next year I went to the 98 Nationals. But I realized at that point that at the time there were no drug-tested competitions. And in order for me to be competitive, I was going to have to take prodigious amounts of anabolic steroids and growth hormone and insulin and things. And of course, at that time, Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates were, that transition was starting to happen. And I was like, well, it really doesn't matter what I do. There's nothing in this world that I'm going to do to ever be Ronnie Coleman. So if I can't be the best at that sport, forget it. Even though I love the sport, I love the training, I love the discipline, I love the diet, I love the artistic sculpting the physique. I always seen it more as, it's kind of a, is it an art, is it a sport? It's kind of both. And all sport becomes art in its highest form. And so then years later, I got back into it as a natural bodybuilder and as a vegetarian, which was, and not on drugs. So those are three things that everybody told me that you couldn't be successful. And eventually I was, and won a bunch of national championships, some international championships, and went to the world championships on 3 occasions.
And you just finished a championship and won?
Yeah, I did the last year. I made a comeback and I won the Ironman International, which is the oldest bodybuilding contest in America. It was bought out by the Natural Federation, the INBA, PNBA. So I won the Open Men's. And then I won the Grand Master, so like the old guys. And then that qualified me to go back to the Natural Olympia again. And I went to the Natural Olympia, but I did not place at that. I mean, there's another level of athlete at that level.
Yeah, I get it.
I can get there, but there's some great athletes, and no harm, no foul. And then 6 months after that, I decided to run a marathon.
So, but okay, now here's the thing: how do you do that at your age and your health? And this is where we're going to get into.
Yeah.
I mean, BioOptimizers is the company that you run, that you've co-founded, and we've used BioOptimizers clinically, and we've used it as part of our programs. It's a major part of our programs, and people all over the world right now are becoming acquainted and from our side to what you do. What is the biggest driving for you to make these supplements and to bring these products to market?
Well, great question. First and foremost, you scratch your own itch. And what I didn't share in that story is in 2003, when I went to my first Mr. Universe, I was trying to do a dietary strategy that mimicked a meat-eating diet, which is what pretty much all athletes do. And that ran me into a number of problems digestively. And I destroyed my digestion. I went from Mr. Universe to Mr. Marshmallow in 11 weeks. I gained 42 pounds. My digestive system was completely destroyed. And I was like, wait a second. And I made the classic mistake that almost everyone who works out and does fitness and, you know, is into this aesthetic or cosmetic look to their body, is I didn't know what was going on inside. I was worried about macros, calories, proteins, fats, these type of things. And I just assumed if I put it in my mouth, it was digested. Well, I met a doctor. His name was Dr. Michael O'Brien. And first off, he was the most radiant, healthy senior citizen I ever saw. He was in his 70s, late 70s. He would grab your hand. It felt like you had a steel cable. He gave a lecture for 8 hours. He didn't eat all day while he was doing this. And it was one of the most informative. And he talked about digestive health and the role of enzymes and probiotics and these things, and that the modern living had disrupted our microbiome and we weren't able to absorb the food, and this eventually led to toxicity, and this accelerated the aging and degeneration processes, and all diseases started in the gut, which was also echoed by Hippocrates 2,500 years ago. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And obviously he's doing something I didn't. So I asked him, I said, Dr. O'Brien, I got to understand this. Like, you fixed Bernard Jensen, one of the greatest health advocates in the history of the United States, wrote 64 books on health, and he fixed him when he was dying of cancer. It's in his book, Come Alive, of how he repaired him. He had overcome cirrhosis of the liver, he had overcome cancer. And I said to him, well, what's my situation? I'm a bodybuilder, you know, like I'm not dying or anything, but I've obviously done something totally wrong here. And he said, Wade, and this changed my life, and it'll change anybody that listens. He said, you've learned to build the body from the outside. You built the outside of the body. I'm going to teach you to build the body from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And Matt, my business partner, I said, you got to meet this guy. We went and attended a special lecture for health advocates. We were both high-level personal trainers at the time in Vancouver. And that was exciting. And so we went, and he said, he gave us the whole spiel, how everything worked. We went all in. We spent like $1,500 a month. I went on a completely raw food diet. And in 6 months, I had regained my physical form, but I had a new level of vitality and health. And I started applying this in my clinic with my clients. And their health started improving. Like, situations that they were dealing with for years started to go away. And I was like, man, Matt and I are like, we got to tell the whole world. So we started with the bodybuilding community first. And then as we developed, we realized it was a greater application. So we made it our mission to end physical suffering by activating health in people, starting with the gut, and then eventually we moved to the nervous system and the brain and all these other areas. But it all started in the gut.
So you, and one of the big things is that I want people to hear this, is that because I went plant-based. I tried to during my time at Human Garage in the clinic, and I was not successful. I always needed to go back to meat, and I would do it once or twice a week. But that was an okay compromise for me at the time. But after I did a 44-day fast, I was able to transition to complete plant-based. And what I did notice is that I believe that now it was my body's inability to grab the nutrients that I needed that stopped me from transitioning to completely plant-based. And the BioOptimizer supplements was a fundamental turning point when I started actually cleaning out my gut. And I mean, I had done things to clean out my gut, but you guys had developed patented products that actually work in a massively different way than the other products out there. And there is literally no comparison between what you guys produce and what's out there. And I've tried every brand. I've worked with it clinically. I've recommended it all, and there's no comparison. And why is that? Why was it that I was not able, do you think, to be able to transition to plant-based?
Well, great question. And a lot of people ask this. And we've got a new book coming out in September that's going to discuss this in great detail. I'm dietary agnostic. And what I mean is I think that people should choose the right diet that supports them at their given point.
I agree.
I do believe that there are universal principles that apply to all dietary strategies. So number one, your genetics and predispositions are going to predetermine whether you produce sufficient enzymes to digest all the major food groups. So you have proteases for protein, you have amylases for carbohydrates, you have lipases for fats, and you have cellulases for plant fiber. Now, based on that, and whatever state of degeneration your body might be at a given point, so for example, I'll give two examples for the listeners who might be listening to this that could be valuable for them. My business partner is ketogenic. I'm a plant-based guy. So on the spectrum, we're about as far apart as get. In fact, he's done carnivore before, and I've done raw food. So we literally are on the farthest ends of the spectrum. Right. Now, we argued about this, for a decade. You know, like which was better. So when he would get me to try to do ketogenic, a high-fat diet, I would get fat in my stool, right? He found that when he ate more plant-based, he would eat too many carbs, and that made him feel groggy and tired. Well, we did some genetic testing, and it turns out that I do really well on carbohydrates. And I don't do very well on fats because my body doesn't produce sufficient amount of enzymes to break down those foods and pathways, and we can get into all the organs. We talk about that in our book coming up. Matt's the opposite. He doesn't do that well on carbohydrates, but does very well on fats. So they were like, OMG. Now we understand the specific enzymatic activity in the body. Now, is it possible to move from one type of diet into another dietary strategy? I think so. I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I live on meat.
So too now.
I lived on meat all the time. So what we did is we also created a hierarchy of values. So what are the values that you assign? So there's spiritual values, there's cultural values, there's individual genetics, there's hormone states, there's your given goal at a period of time, your ability to sustain something. All of these need to be factored in to the entire picture of which diet's right for you at a given time. And so when you're dealing with an individual, it's good to know their genetics, it's good to know their predetermination, it's good to know what their lifestyle is. Okay. Now we can build a diet around that. Now, what are their deficiencies or dysregulated aspects? Well, I can share with you right now. If you took a sample population of 100, 1,000, 10,000 people, you would probably find that over 95% of those people had compromised digestive health. Yeah. They just don't know what good digestive health feels like. They've never experienced that. Most people, when they eat, don't necessarily, you should be like a pound in, a pound out, basically, when you're eating. So some people think it's normal to have like 1 bowel movement a day or 3 bowel movements a week or whatever. They think that's normal because it's always been that way. They go to their doctor, the doctor says, that's fine because that's all he has. He doesn't know either. Okay, so that's a big factor. Hydration is another factor related. And then your microbiome diversity. We've put chemicals all through the environment, on all our food. So you could be eating a plant-based diet and consuming a massive amount of commercialized chemicals which are disrupting your microbiome. You could be using a high meat diet that is highly chemical laden with a lot of additives and coloring agents and things like that that are very disruptive. And depending on whether you have good detoxification pathways or not, that diet might not be good for you. So quality of food, but at the end of the day, you have 5 stages to digestion: the taste, touch, feel, sensory aspect, which prepares the body, the mastication, and now there's whole courses now about how practicing mastication actually makes your jaw lines much better and makes you more physically attractive by chewing. But we drink everything and we liquid everything. So if you look at people who are subjected to more rural settings with less civilized aspects with access to refined products where they have to chew a lot of their food, they have beautiful teeth structures and great jaw lines and are very attractive. And then you see people that are highly refined sugars and foods and stuff, they have narrow jaw lines and teeth all crushed up together because we didn't know that the development of your musculature all here is related to chewing. Well, how well you masticate your food, then it travels down the esophagus. And the first 30 to 60 minutes, your body releases about what's called the enzymes present in the food are supposed to break things down. Well, if your food is cooked, there's no enzymes in it. Anything over 114 degrees, there's no more enzymes. So your body has to manufacture enzymes in order, and then release them later into the digestive process. You get a little bit from your mouth, which is mostly carbohydrate based, and I think that's why a lot of people like carbohydrates, because we release carbohydrates and we can get digestion and get energy from it very quickly, even though there might be problems downstream from it. Well, then hydrochloric acid comes into the intestinal tract. The food drops down at the upper cardiac portion, and the HCl has two factors. Number one, it disinfects the food. Bugs, parasites, pathogens, viruses, whatever. That's in a highly hydrochloric acid environment. That will kill all that. Number two, it changes the pH of the food mixture from alkaline or slightly acidic to really acidic. At that point, various enzymes become activated or deactivated, which breaks down your food. Well, if your food's been cooked, you don't have those enzymes present. If the food has been processed in any way, it has been irradiated, if it's been pasteurized, if it's been subjected to a superstore, a supermarket, the chances that it has the enzymes intact that was naturally available in the food are limited. That's why when you take a tomato out of your garden, it tastes a lot different than the tomato in the food, because the enzymes are breaking it down and you make the flavor. You can even smell it. So we're not used to smelling real food, or we're not used to tasting real food. You're used to tasting conventionally altered food. They call it conventional, which I don't know why they call it conventional, but anyways. So then after that third stage, the food drops out of the stomach. Your body releases what's called bicarbonate buffers. That's a fancy name for minerals, and most people are mineral deficient. They don't have enough minerals inside their body. Yeah. So the minerals will buffer the acid so you don't get the acid going into your intestinal tract. Your stomach can handle the acid, your intestines can't. If you don't have enough, if you have too much acid and not enough minerals, what happens is you get perforations called ulcers, right? Anyways, so assuming that you got enough minerals and you buffer that, then it goes into your intestinal tract. Now in there, this is where your workers work, bacteria, probiotics. Now, when it comes to bacteria, there's hundreds and hundreds of strains. There's good bacteria, there's bad bacteria. That's about 10% on each side. And then there's what I call opportunists. 80% of bacteria, which may be dormant or semi-dormant, that when the right conditions are present, they start to proliferate and grow. Now, that means when I go to a foreign country and start eating foods I'm not used to, I get a stomach ache. Why? Because you're exposed to food and bacteria that you haven't had before. So your body doesn't know what to do with it, and it takes a little bit to adjust. There's a way around that too, and I can share with people how to get around it. And then the final stage is, this is all moves through peristaltic contraction, which is the smooth muscle along the intestine contracts and moves the food through the body. And then eventually it releases it out of your body, right? You go to the bathroom. That's the proper digestive stage. Now, here's where the three issues come. Number one, insufficient amount of enzymes relative to your diet and your genetics. That's number one problem. Right. Number two, insufficient hydrochloric acid. And then people say, well, wait, I'm taking all these antacid pills. I'm taking the little purple pill, right? But because I got acid reflux. Well, here's a test that you can do for the individual to see if you have enough hydrochloric acid. What you need to do is you take a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, put it in 4 ounces of water, stir it up, and drink it on an empty stomach. If you burp within 30 seconds, or excuse me, if you burp within 5 minutes, not 30 seconds. If you burp within 5 minutes, you have sufficient hydrochloric acid. If you don't burp within 5 minutes,
okay, so
you don't.
Say it again. You take a
quarter teaspoon of baking soda, 4 ounces of water, mix it all up into a thing, drink it on an empty stomach. In 5 minutes, you should burp within 5 minutes if you have sufficient hydrochloric acid. If you don't have enough. And what happens if you don't have enough is that food starts to ferment in your intestinal tract, which releases gas.
That's
the gas
that's a
pushes
really
up on the
interesting test.
esophageal sphincter.
Yeah.
And some of the acid splashes up and causes acid reflux and heartburn. So they give you a pill to stop the acid, which means you don't disinfect from the bacteria, you don't break down the food properly, and now you have large chunks of undigested food. Now, with people who eat a high protein diet, and most North Americans do relative to and athletes do, what happens is you have huge chunks of protein, undigested protein, sitting in your intestinal tract. Well, guess what the bad bacteria do? They start feeding on that protein. They love that and start producing things like indole and skatol and these neurotoxins, which disrupt your brain function and cause all sorts of distress and dysfunction inside the body.
Makes you loopy, crazy, literally.
So this is where the world's at. So, and then insufficient strains of bacteria. For example, there are bacteria strains that help you produce the neurotransmitters like serotonin. 95% of your serotonin is made by your bacteria in your gut. So if you're feeling low mood, or you're having challenge feeling happy, or it's really hard for you to be positive, or you don't feel like getting up in the morning, things like that, you probably got some kind of dysbiosis that you're feeding the bad bacteria and you don't have enough good ones to eat. And
that's actually a warning sign. Like if you get up in the morning, you don't feel like you want to be approaching your day. People think it's depression a lot of times. It's just literally not getting enough serotonin. That's
right. So when you go through this, enzymes, hydrochloric acid, and the right probiotic strains. And we developed enzymatic formulas for each different type of diet. If you're a plant-based, if you're just a generalized diet for everybody else, or high protein diets, or a ketogenic diet. There is bacteria strains that we make available to people so that they can choose the right strain for them. And it's great. And then there's one other thing. There's also a thing called leaky gut that starts to happen. So leaky gut means that it's a single layer inside your intestinal tract. And through chemicals or stress or a variety of different inflammatory foods, like a lot of people have gluten sensitivity and stuff, what will happen is you'll get perforations inside that, and these undigested proteins leak into the body. And when they leak into the body, what happens is your immune system goes, uh-oh, we have an invader. There's an unidentified protein in it. They think it's a virus. Okay? And so what happens is you get this white blood cell release, and they start attacking it. So you start, over time, you start developing, your body starts attacking itself, where you get all these inflammatory conditions, which leads to cognitive degeneration. It leads to all sorts of physical problems.
All over the place.
Right.
Eczema, rashes, rosacea, cold hands, cold feet, brain fog, dystopia.
All of it. All of it starts in the gut. So like, I didn't know this back 20 years ago. And once I found out, and then I started helping other people, I realized, OMG, almost everybody in the world has some sort of digestive stress. So we decided that we would go out and make the best products that we could possibly perform. We built them not based on price point. We built them on effectiveness. And Matt and I, we literally didn't take a salary in the company for 12 years because we just kept spreading the message. It's just like, we just got to keep fixing things. Like, it doesn't matter, because we were just excited about what we were doing. And then eventually that led us to developing, we did a private partnership with the Birch International University and their microbiome engineering department. And so now what we do is we bought microscopes, and we build digestive systems inside there with these PhDs. And then we just test everything. We test every bacteria strain, we test enzymes, we test what little elements make the enzymes work better, what enzymes will make the bacteria work better. What
have more science than everybody else out there combined right now.
Exactly. So there's literally no supplement company in the world that we're aware of that has this level of detail and our ability to get information so quickly.
So there's a couple things that are really relevant because people are dealing with real life issues right now. Like one of the things that last time we were together, you talked to me about was we have one of the most insidious herbicides in the world, which is glyphosate. It's in everybody's gut right now. Well, it's not mine, but it's in everybody's gut. If you're eating out anywhere in the world, you're getting any processed or whatever, you're getting this. And when you've tested yours, there is 0 glyphosate in your system, right? Yeah. And how do we know that? How do you know that?
Well, you can take what's called a Cyrex test. It's kind of one of the state-of-the-art tests for chemicals. And I really promote people taking a test to look at chemical toxicity and heavy metal toxicity, because depending on your detoxification pathways, you're going to be predisposed to be more affected by some chemicals than not. Like there's a variance on how many people are affected by gluten. What we have found in our labs is, I think I can say this. I don't know if I can say this. Probably. I don't. I hope I can. But basically, the combination.
Or just tell everybody that you're not saying it. You're going to tell them what you would tell them.
Yeah.
And then by doing that, you're not technically saying it. You're just
right. What I can say for myself is that I've been taking enzymes and probiotics, or P3OM probiotic and masszymes, for the last 20 years. And I eat a completely plant-based diet. So I'm exposed to probably a significantly more amount of herbicide chemicals, even though I try to eat organic all the time. You go out places. So I probably get a disproportionate amount than some people. I have none in my body, even though I have suboptimal detoxification pathways.
Yes.
And I believe that's the reason why. And we have evidence to suggest that that medication.
I believe it too. And also you saw I don't know if you saw my face the other day, blow up. First thing I did was, like this antibiotic versus probiotic. I am antibiotic. And it's like you've got antibiotics which kill everything, and you got probiotics which go after the ones that aren't good. So I had my face blow up like a balloon on the left side, and everybody said, antibiotics, go to the doctor, go to the dentist. And I'm like, nope. First thing I did is I went and I grabbed 10 P3OM, and I took that 3 times in that day. I took 10 our PowerKirk anti-inflammatory 3 times that day. Used a little bit of essential oil and stuff like that on it, and I was on my Nano V. But within 4 days, I went from blown up, swollen face to completely healed, better than I was before. Actually, my skin looked better than I was before, and that's largely to do with the P3OM, the probiotic. Why does that happen? Like, why would I take a probiotic over an antibiotic?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Antibiotics were developed and saved millions of people, but the overprescription of them over the last 70 years has created antibiotic resistant strains of bacteria. So the head of our research facility, she's a PhD in microbiome and literally engineers bacteria and stuff. She says we're 10 to 20 years away from the post-antibiotic age. And what that means is that virtually all of the antibiotics that are being used today will be ineffective in treating a proliferation of bacteria that causes, all sorts of problems, inflammation. So if you have a surgery or you have a medical issue where you have an open wound or something like that, potentially where infection gets you is that bad bacteria get into that and start to proliferate, and your body can't handle it in your immune system, and it overwhelms you and kills you. Okay, that's what. And the first sign is you get swelling and inflammation. Now, a normal amount of swelling and inflammation is part of the recovery process.
Which is why I didn't want to get rid of it. I didn't want to get rid of it. I'm like, let it come on, man. Whatever's there, it's got to get out.
Yes. So but what happens is these good bacteria will go in and kill off the bad bacteria. And that's what you want. So instead of killing them with chemicals, you're overcrowding them with a superior strain of bacteria that competes for any of the elements, and then the other ones die off. So it's a competition for resources in order to support it. And it's the same thing in your intestinal tract. It's the exact same thing. You just don't see it. You can't see the bloating or whatever. But everybody's woken up in the morning and said, oh, I feel bloated, or I had a meal and I feel bloated. Well, you're actually getting an inflammatory response in your gut because you have bad bacteria which are producing these inflammatory chemicals, and your body's supposed to go wipe it out. But if you don't have enough of the good guys to beat down the bad guys, you get an unregulated aspect of the proliferation of these bad bacteria. So that's the primary reason as a species that we become weaker and weaker and weaker the more that we don't have access to the natural bacteria that was associated with real food in the real world. You go out in the garden as a kid, you dust off a carrot, it's got dirt and bacteria on it, you eat it and it's fine. You know, that's how all animals eat their food, but we don't. We've sterilized everything so much, we put so much chemicals on everything. Our own capacity has been significantly weakened, and millions and millions of people are suffering from this needlessly, and that's why we're on this mission.
So taking 30 a day, I just tuned into my body. 30 a day seemed like it was right for me in that situation. Does that sound like a dose for you? Yeah,
Here's the great news. When I started my own process of fixing myself, I was taking 25 enzymes a day, and I took half that amount in P3M probiotics. So I started taking those two. In about a 2-to-1 ratio. And then I went up as high in certain areas as I took 1,000 enzymes in a day, and I took 500 probiotics in a day just to see what happened. I felt great, but there was no toxic dosage. So when people are in extreme conditions, I'll give you another, they have an inflammatory condition, or they got food poisoning. Then I say, just take a handful of P3M immediately, take another one 30 minutes later, and then take another one an hour or so later, and you won't have that problem anymore.
And that worked for me. Food poisoning
works really well.
right away.
So when it comes to bacteria and enzymes, you just keep upping the dosage. You keep upping the dosage till you get the desired effect. So I can't create a protocol or a program that's going to be right. You're highly intuitive.
You feel it.
You kind of feel it. Like right now, for example, if I travel somewhere and I get exposed to something, I literally can feel my immune system rising up to deal with whatever I do. And I go, oh, I've got an agent on me. I'm going to load up with some extra, because I can literally feel my body's response, and I know I have a pathogen of some sort that's going to go. So I load up extra.
You got an agent on you? Agent Smith, you're in the Matrix?
Pretty much. I mean, if you understand, what's really interesting, when I was over in Bosnia at our lab a couple months ago, and I was talking to Monia, who heads up our lab, and I was doing the pipettes and doing all this stuff, and it was really fun. And she said to me, I said, what's really interesting about bacteria? And she goes, they're highly social creatures. They're communicating all the time. They're telling our bodies all sorts of information, and they're telling each other all sorts of information. And in fact, these bacteria interact with our nervous system as feedback mechanisms. It's a symbiotic relationship. If we don't have these bacteria, our nervous system doesn't regulate properly. And so when people are saying, oh, I'm stressed out all the time, oh, I'm anxious all the time, or I'm inflamed all the time, or I get sick with the least little thing, or I'm really worried too much. Well, what's happening is you're getting the wrong communication from your gut because you don't have the right guys inside of it.
Yeah.
You got undigested food for the reasons I illustrated earlier. And so for most people, I feel that a 30-day course of high dosage is going to make a big difference. 60 days, they'll never turn back. In 90 days, we have found doing a high dose of enzymes and probiotics every day is enough to correct pretty much any kind of digestive thing that doesn't require surgery or something like that.
And this is fundamentally why our 28-day reset has been so successful. Because we deal with the gut health using P3OM and masszymes, and we're going to up the protocol to include more now, especially with the new products. And we do our anti-inflammatory with our Power Kirk, and we remineralize the body with our fascial flow and a foundation. And what we found that within 1 month, most disease pathologies in the human body, doesn't matter what it is, have had a stop or a reversal. And by 3 months, we've had people reversing autoimmune diseases, and we have documentation of in the thousands of people, including things like rheumatoid arthritis. And again, we're not claiming it. We're reporting what people are showing us. We have medical evidence that they're showing us, and it's a combination of your products, our products, and our 28-day reset, which is what I think is super powerful.
Well, you know, just to comment on that too, I think one of the breakthroughs that you guys have established is the relation of fascia and how that interacts with organs in the nervous system. And so I think people have to look at health as a communication between the internal and the external. The internal, your cognitive, you know, whether that you want to call that spirit or your cognitive capabilities, and then your physiology. So anytime that you have an owie, a dis-ease in the body, which means I am not comfortable within myself. I'm not able to function within myself. My amazingly designed organism is somehow compromised. And I think what struck me so well is how well you guys at the garage have recognized that the inability to move or to hold your body in certain ways is really not allowing your body to inform your spirit in a proper way.
Yeah.
And that's what's so, it seems like a little woo-woo, and it seems a little esoteric, but it works. It's effective. And, you know, I've watched and tracked your guys' you know, results. And what do I mean by results? All the people that have associated with the Human Garage and have transformed. And I've seen some things that I couldn't believe. I was like, wow, you can do this? That really happens? Holy doodle, that's amazing.
Yeah, I believe it's a combination, because we're doing these maneuvers and we're reducing inflammation, increasing hydration, and the mineralization important for the digestion with our products. But cleaning out I've noticed that people who do not participate, because the 28-day reset you can do without any supplements, a lot of people around the world can't afford them. Yeah. And that's why we're working hard to get those supplements in areas where people can't afford them. But it's something that works. Movement is life, and supplements help movement. And what I've noticed though is the people that do the 28-day reset and participate with the complete GI cleanse that we do with the BioOptimizers, with your products, I noticed that they have results instead of like a year, they have it in a month or two.
That's right.
And that's really the difference, is the speed. Because at the end of it, if I take my body out of stress every day, 2 to 3 times a day, over time, my own body will win, because it's designed to. But it's really how hard we have to fight against our environment on a daily basis. And this is what using supplements like yours do. Like, for example, like you said, people can't always eat perfectly. Like, I go get tomatoes from the market. They're heirloom tomatoes. They're grown locally, but they're held in a warehouse. I put them in my Alkaviva water, and I have chemicals coming off them. Why? Because they're still sprayed. Unless you're really, like, we're super controlled here, and we still have it. So yep. This is why having supplements on hand on a regular basis, like especially Masszymes, P3OM, HCl, those are the baselines that people should have in their house, just like aspirin.
Yeah, and there's an important aspect of nutrition that almost every nutritionist misses. If you read any nutrition book, there'll be like a couple of paragraphs talking about enzymes. There might be a chapter on probiotics.
Right.
What people don't recognize is those are the only two elements that do work in the body. Everything else is material. So imagine you were going to build a house, and you got the plot of land. You're going to build a house, and you bring all the materials in, and you got, the boards, you got the piping, you got the roofing, you got the windows, the door, you got everything. You drive up to the warehouse, and you go away for 2 weeks, and you come back and say, well, I want to see if there's any progress on on my house. You're going to come back. Is there going to be any progress on your house? No. Why? Workers. You need workers.
Right.
The workers are the enzymes and the probiotics. So the more enzymes and probiotics that you put into the system, the faster you build the house or rebuild the house.
Right.
So anybody that has been involved in a renovation of the house, or like if you've been renovating a house, and so if you're listening to this, the house already got built a long time ago. What you're looking to do is renovate the house. Now, the first stage is you got to take out all the old gunk, whatever's, and it's, and anybody that's done renovation will tell you, it's worse than you think. You think, oh, I got this wall that's off. You open up the studs and you feel like there's rot, there's mold, there's all kinds of garbage in there, right? And you're like, oh man, now I got to call the mold guy. Oh God, we got plumbing that's off. Now the wires are buried. Oh, we need an electrician. We need a plumber. We need a mold guy, right? Now I know, oh, look, there's a hole in the roof. I need a roofing guy, and the chimney's starting to develop. Now I need a bricklayer. So now you need 5 different guys. You thought you were going to change a wall and a couple of studs and make an extra room. Then you realize that the whole foundation is messed up. And a lot of people, when they first get started in a renovation, they go through a phase where it seems a little overwhelming. They're like, Gary, they're like, Wade, they're like, you guys sound a little crazy. No, we've just renovated a lot of houses. We know how bad it is behind those walls. We know what's going on there. And the evidence suggests, if you look at the disability adjusted life expectancy in this country, it's 60 years old. It's expected now by all metrics that the children will live younger than the parents. First time in history in the last 300 years. And the disability life expectancy means that you'll be on some sort of medication and not able to perform your life. That's the last quarter of your life. It's getting worse and worse and worse. If you look at the recent data on the insurance agencies that are talking about all causes mortality, between 20 and 40, it's up 13 sigmas. We have a major crisis, and that is the over-reliance on outside authority and their agents, and not enough reliance on our inside authority and those who advocate for it. And you're one of the inside authorities that shares, hey, I've been through this process. I know what happens. I've seen a laundry list of problems. There's a simple way to get out of it, but there's no way to escape that process. So you're either going to do it now and get things going in the right direction, and whatever that cost in time and money, and everything costs time and everything costs money, because time and money are similar. You are going to spend, but whatever you spend now is going to save you down the road and will likely extend the quality of your life. So you go, well, and maybe even the length. So what's the value of that? Ask anybody on their deathbed, 80 years old, what would you like to have more of? Time.
Yes.
And what would you have liked to done more of in your life? Or I would have liked to done more of the things I love and less of the things that I didn't. So we can learn from those people and start applying it now to whatever time you have left, and then pass that on to the generations to come, because we have the technology, we have the information, and that's our mission at BiOptimizers. We're on this. We're writing books. We've got people around the world. We've got labs. We got all stuff. I don't need to work. I don't need the money. I eat beans and rice and vegetables every day. Like, it's not like, you know, I walk.
My life doesn't change. Yeah.
Cars in my drive. I don't hardly drive them. You know, I go to meditation once a week at a center, and I'm like, okay, which car do I take? That's when I drive. You know, or I go on a trip somewhere. That's it. So you'll find that when you're living healthy and you have vitality, the whole world's fun. It's fun to go somewhere. It's fun to hang out in the yard. It's fun to live your life. And what our program is, and what we commit to do, is bringing the fun back in life so that you can enjoy your life. And when I was over to your place, I was struck by, there's a whole community of people. There's people coming in from outside of the world, from all over the place, getting fixed up. And there was so much joy and happiness in the house.
Yes.
So much joy and happiness. Just joy. People are radiant. That's the way the natural state of being is.
Yes. And you know what? And thank you for saying that. I mean, it's been a journey to create this, because when we were in a clinic, we were fixing people who were broke and there's no joy there. There's only pain and suffering. And what we found is that when we give people the tools to be healthy themselves, they find their joy and then they bring it to others. And that's the foundation of our program. What I've really like is that the BiOptimizers supplements, what they do is they give my body space. And what I mean by space is that it's energy in, energy out. At the end of the day, it's pluses or minuses. I mean, we're 10% human cells, 90% bacterial cells. So we really live to feed the bugs. And if the bugs are happy, I'm happy. But if my bugs aren't happy, I'm not happy. And this is where people are going. There's depression, anxiety, mental disease all over the place. And a lot of it, foundation of it, it happens right here in our GI tract, and people question the price. And this is why, like you said, I do like what you said about the renovation of the house. We're telling people to take 25 enzymes a day. The reason why we're telling them to do that is because we know there's shit inside of them that needs to come out. And they question with the price. I see people this all the time. Well, what if I only take 2? Why do I have to do that? I mean, you don't have to do anything. You can do nothing. But it's the quality of life that you want to live. Is how long you want to be in pain. Is how fast you want to get out of it. And that's what I like about your products. You can scale it as much as you want. And literally, the more you take, the better. Literally.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. I mean, like I said, at a high dosage, I took 1,000 a day to see what would happen. And I felt great. I don't recommend that. I'm not suggesting anybody do that. But the point of the matter is, if you took 1,000 aspirins in a day, you'd be dead. That would kill you. Okay? So, and most medications, that would kill you. So if there's something that you can take that more of makes you feel better, and it's something that you can take the more of will kill you, which thing do you think you should be doing?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, Wade, it's super cool. I'm excited about this next journey. We have the reset now starting to spread all over the world. We expect in the millions of people doing it this coming year. And our relationship with you and BioOptimizers has been a foundation key point and turning point for people's health. I want people to hear and learn more about it because you have this infinite base of knowledge around it. I'd like to have you back a couple more times and talk about it and actually take some questions from the audience next time. Would you be open to that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anything I can do for your mission. I love what you guys are doing, and we can support it any way we can. We'll do it.
And then next time, let's tackle autoimmune in it specifically.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on.
My
really
pleasure.
Appreciate you. And looking forward to what's next.
All right, you bet. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Wade, take care, buddy.
Ciao, ciao.